Nestling beneath the North York moors is the village of Thornton Dale. And for over 30 years, it's been the home of the Mathewsons. A dynasty of dealers with a love of classics.
They just have a personality, there's just something about them.
In all shapes and sizes.
Well, it is the best job ever, really, isn't it?
A passion that can be turned into brass. They auction over 4,000 rare vehicles every year.
Start me on it, we're going to be with it. Most people will go to a sale with something in mind, but come away with something different.
Something's either got it or it hasn't.
It's what they fall in love with on that day.
There's head of the family, Derek.
What a runner. Smooth as silk, this car.
Trusted lieutenants, sons Paul.
Working with your family, it has its ups and its downs. God, blimey.
And Dave.
I bet you £1 it doesn't start.
The fun is the chase.
Morning, Mathewsons.
You just don't know what's on the end of the phone, what you're going to find when you open them doors.
Spot on.
That's the find of the century. It's the real deal.
Just never really 2 days exactly the same.
This is a family's love affair with motors that have lived a life.
There's a story behind every car in this building.
Testing, testing. Most people will buy a car because they can relate to it. Maybe a car that Dad had. We're selling dreams.
Right, here we go.
On sale this week.
1977 Saab 96L. One of those cars you buy from 20 feet away. That sounds lovely. 50,000 showing. Oh, it's sweet. Gorgeous. What a well-built car. It's a 1956 AC Seeker. It's absolutely gorgeous.
They didn't make many of them, and they're worth a lot of money these days.
Ford Model A, this is something a little bit special. You can't call this just a van, it's a super events truck.
It's ready to rock and roll, actually. In fact, it is the dogs, isn't it?
Super.
Another busy day looms for the family business dedicated to the buying and selling of anything with wheels.
Yeah, go on. Left hand, yeah.
Vehicles heading to their new owners.
Left hand, Dave, up here.
Oh, we're going
Up here,
behind the roller?
Yeah.
There we go.
Over in the office,
Oh, hi, Jim.
Morning, Mathewsons.
Derek has a mountain of paperwork and phone calls to catch up on.
I'll have to get Derek to give you a call back.
Oh, where is Derek?
Don't know. He's about somewhere, isn't he?
You're not needing Derek to give somebody a call by any chance, are you?
What, you mean another one to add to his ever-expanding list?
If only there was a way of keeping tabs on the boss.
We need a tannoy.
This is a staff announcement for Derek Mathewson. Please report to the office. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. How will that go down? I won't answer it, will I? So that's that, and it's sorted.
As usual, Derek's only too happy to escape the office. He's on his way to pick up a couple of highly desirable Swedish models. First up, a 1973 P1800 ES that spent the last couple of years in David Milner's body shop.
It's a customer's car, it's not my cup of tea. I'm more into like MGs, but it is what it is. And it's a good looking car from every angle you look at it. It's a nice thing. We've just done bits of paint work just to tidy it up. It's not mint, but it's a nice example for the year. Alan!
Okay,
Alan,
then.
how you doing?
All right, mate, okay.
So there she is.
Aye, nice one, yeah. You've been doing some paint on it, then?
Yeah, just tidied it up a little bit. I don't want to go daft with it sort of thing.
No,
so
of course not, no. Not
solid old bus.
I think, yeah, it's all right, yeah. They sell well, these.
Yeah.
There's a bloke, just so I came away, just about to book in an 1800S.
All right.
Like the Simon Templar one. Like.
Yeah, I was saying to your colleague, I didn't know what we were on about.
Yeah, what, Simon Templar?
Yeah.
Going back a bit, mate, innit? The Saint.
Yeah.
Used to watch him every Sunday night, didn't we?
We did.
He was good, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Never lost a fight, did he?
No.
Right. Anyway, we better get this on.
The Volvo is bringing back memories for Derek.
A bonny little car that is, yeah. Yeah, we sold it at least once before. I think we might have sold it twice actually, but definitely once. Yeah, straighten up. Just watch them crossover ramps for us. They've always been a very desirable car since the Simon Templar thing, you know, the Saint on telly with his white one.
Yep, you're all right.
They always sell well. The 1800S, the booted one, the proper Simon Templar one's obviously that bit better, but it's that bit more expensive. Got a sneaking feeling before it's hovered around the £9,000 mark. I just can't quite remember. This, anyway, is a good seller. He's made a nice job of it. He's got the wheels done and some bits and pieces he was telling me. And I mean, really nice ones will do 14 or 15, you know, if they're really exceptional. And I mean, I wouldn't call this really exceptional, it's just okay, you know, it's a nice car. But having said that, this time that we're in now, this price blip that we're seeing, and they are running fairly high, so I'm a little bit concerned about valuing cars up, really. You know, you can value a car at 6,000 quid, which is basically where it should be, and the damn thing goes and makes 10. It really is that difficult. But around the 9 mark, I'd have said.
Let's hope it does its job for him.
This?
Yeah.
Oh, it will. They always do okay.
If you remember it first time, it had red wheels.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember that, yeah.
It looked awful.
Yeah, it looks a little bit leery, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think he tried to do a bit himself and it were all different colours and one thing another.
That's it. Right.
That's one Swede in the bag. Not far from York, there's another Scandinavian classic. A 1977 Saab 96L. Derek's been told it's in original condition.
Oh, I love old railway property. It's always big, loads of room, loads of yard space. And this is her. Right, here we are, we've found it. It's a V4 Saab. They're just a bit of an unusual bit of kit, like. I've always liked them, always admired them. They're just a fair old motor. I like the style of them. Sound old thing by the looks of things. Very tidy. Had a fair bit of paint, but it's not a bad job. Top half looks very original. One former keeper. Honest looking old thing, isn't it? She'll fire up, no doubt. Okay, there we go. Boy, don't that sound nice? That sounds lovely. 50,000 showing. Bound to be right, looking at the interior. Everything smells and shouts 50,000 mile. Right, I would think. Right, we'll have it on the wagon. What a nice old car. Lovely colour. I love yellows and this sort of bright colours. Not everyone's cup of tea. A lot of people like maroons and stuff like that. I'm not into that. I like these bright pastel colours. That is just gorgeous, that. I love that car. Oh, you won't see many of them. It's the traditional early style Saab, that's it. And you can see the likeness to the modern Saabs, really, with a rounded front and whatever, you know. But these here, I mean, they're just elegant, sloping body, aren't they? I think it's absolutely superb. Much better than the Volvos to drive. Much, much nicer thing. Far more fun. Look how nice that is. What a lovely little touch. Like a work of art, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? And smooth and quiet. Gorgeous. What a well-built car. Forget about the models. This is streets ahead of that Volvo. If I was forced to buy one or the other, I'd buy this, full stop. If they were both the same money, I'd buy that. Even though that's not worth as much as the Volvo, I would still buy that. I think the Saab would do 6 or 7. But it just might surprise you. This might do 10 grand, this car. It would never surprise me. And I'm not saying it's worth it, but it might do it. Proper car.
It's just been manic since 8:30. Who can remember when there's 500 lots?
A packed showroom full of vehicles to suit all tastes and budgets.
Everything's got a price, haven't they? There's other ones out there, so...
I said to my wife, as soon as I find a car that I like, that suits me, I shall keep it. And she says, you say that every time.
One of the joys of owning an older car is that you don't have to be a millionaire to feel like one.
It's what you remember, so when you get in the car, you feel younger.
But occasionally a motor pops up that's in a slightly different league. nestled in rural North Yorkshire, is a rather rare classic.
Well, it looks pretty.
Looking good, yes.
It's a sophisticated car, not for abusing, but just for using as it wants to go. It's a friendly car as well, isn't it? You always feel happy in it.
John Coverdale has owned the car for 23 years, but he and his wife Pat have decided it's time to sell.
That's an AC Seeker, 1955 it was built. It's a jolly nice car. It handles well, it goes well. They didn't make many of them, and they're worth a lot of money these days.
Only 328 AC Seekers were made. The early versions had 2-litre engines built by AC, but John's motor has a 2.6-litre Ford Zephyr unit, which was fitted by a famous musician.
At one stage, it belonged to Nick Mason, the drummer in Pink Floyd. Took the Bristol engine out and put a Ford Zephyr engine in.
AC already had a rich sports pedigree, but in the post-war era, with the production of the Ace, they exploited the market of wealthy speedsters in sheepskin jackets. The Seeker was the Ace in hardtop form, built from ash, steel and aluminium. Its nimble handling appealed to the American market. But the daddy of all ACs is the Cobra. US race legend Carroll Shelby combined muscle with old-school British style, creating a rabble-rousing monster that was even blamed for the 70 miles per hour speed limit being introduced. The Cobra was iconic, but not universally appreciated.
They look a bit vulgar to me. I'm an old-fashioned chap, you see, and it's rather like putting enormous boobs on a good-looking girl, isn't it? You don't want to go that far, for heaven's sake. Appreciate what you've got.
John and Pat have been on many a long journey in their Seeker.
All over Europe, really.
We went around the tip of Italy in it, and with 30 other cars and 60 old people.
We never got as far as Switzerland. We never wanted to, actually.
Yes, we've had some good trips in it.
We have a bit of a thing for France. We're not wildly enthusiastic about the French people, of course.
I'm not going to get into that, John.
Yes,
we can't get into that.
Right,
we're not going to do politics.
Yeah.
And the one thing about this is you can put some luggage in it.
Yes, there you are.
So when the hammer goes down...
Well...
It was on the market for 120,000.
Yes, it was on at 120,000. And we'd be very happy at that. Oh, yes.
Back at the Pickering showroom, a new arrival.
It's a 1930s Ford Model A hot dog truck. It's come from Daytona in America. It's been serving hot dogs for the past 10 years on the racing circuit.
Mick Thompson bought this unusual imported Ford Model A to use it as it should be.
I run a catering company, so it's just an unusual truck, really. It's quite unique. I've never seen one ever. We're in the catering industry, like when it starts again, which will be next year because of this blinking COVID. Otherwise, we'd have kept it. It is the dogs, isn't it?
Sort of ballpark figure we sort of...
well, we're hoping it makes about £20,000.
You think it'll be a sad moment when it finally does get...
Yeah, I do actually, yeah, but I just hope it, I hope it brings somebody, like a bit of luck. You can't keep everything, can you?
Super.
Resident discerning aficionado of the older vehicle, Bubbles, gives her the once-over.
Whilst the paintwork is brilliant, it is absolutely sound and a really good example of the sort of trucks that are running around the States. It's a hillbilly truck, really, isn't it? And obviously they've taken the wooden back off at some stage and built on it a body with various gubbins inside. It's quirky. It's unique. We've all seen Mathewsons. You don't see many of these, do you? Here we go. Gee whiz. Coffee dispenser. A nice little ladle. I suppose that's for dishing out tomato ketchup or whatever. Done in stainless steel. The vendor can't have been that big because he's by American standards. That was Karen. Karen did the hot dogs, Ford, I think it's a 28 horsepower engine. Most Ford flathead engines look like that. I don't think they all came with the clothes pegs, but that's probably an operational necessity. But the beauty of these old Fords, the parts are still available, so you can keep going, you know. To the right man, you're probably looking at 15,000 in that region. To build it would probably cost a lot more. I may be proven wrong in the end. There you are. You'll get me locked up for this. Pretend the wind's blowing. I think it's been signed by Donald Trump somewhere. That's me done. Bye-bye.
As auction day approaches, the two Swedish beauties are still patiently waiting for their time in the spotlight. And Derek is still amused by the Saab 96's finer points.
I'm just smelling the newness of that Saab coming out there. And I have a theory about Saabs, why they didn't sell in this country. They were always a little bit maybe too aerodynamic for us British. They were a little bit spaceship looking, weren't they? I mean, this is second edition of the Jowett, that's basically what it is. And I wonder whether they maybe made one or two little mistakes, like putting in the unpopular and not at all highly thought of V4 Ford engine, which I must be the only person in the country that actually loves the engine, because I had fantastic experience of them and I think they're a brilliant engine. Build quality is excellent. You know, the door shuts, plenty of paint on there. Everything you want in the way of instrumentation. So I find it difficult to find any negatives about the car, to be honest.
And of course, ahead of its time for safety, we have seatbelts.
Absolutely, well and truly, yes, seatbelts, yes, and impact bumpers. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of it. I think the example itself is lovely. So it's a nice low mileage car in very, very honest original condition. And I think there's no reason in the world why it shouldn't find an adoring home at the next auction. If it were mine, I'd be gutted if it didn't do £7,000 plus. It's worth every penny of that. And I can see it doing it quite comfortably.
You don't get many Swedes in, and then actually two coming all at once. You've got a Volvo.
Yeah, we've got a Volvo 1800 ES, and they're again very popular. Yeah, the Swedish sports coupe. With the greatest respect to the vendor and the car, not in the same league as the Saab, condition-wise, not in the same league. Very strong car, we all know that. Go on forever, can't wear them out, we all know that. A few cosmetic issues and bits and pieces. Just generally speaking, not as original, not as mint, not as honest a car as the Saab, but it is what it is. Good sellers. I think the last one we sold was about £9,000. I can see this one pushing on that way. Two beautifully made cars, one particularly beautifully made car, another one very, very good. And they all had their place in the market, but it weren't a big market, especially for Saab.
Over in Pickering, the 1930 Model A hot dog van is attracting a few admirers, and Charlie Gabb is hot on the scent.
We have a cafe, motorist cafe, and this would be ideal to advertise the place or to actually use on events as well. It could be parked up in the middle of the show field on busy events if we ever get any again. They don't come up very often, I suppose, so it could tick a lot of boxes. If all the gear works, I haven't got a clue what I'm looking at.
Ford Model A, this is something a little bit special. You can't call this just a van, it's a super events truck. Beautiful bit of kit. This will pull the customers in. Wow, start me on it. 10 I've got, 10, 11, 12, 12,000, 5, 12,5, 13, 13,5, 13,500. Big money-making job, this. Money back in a year on this, probably in a month. Get to the right events, buy, 14. You get yourself to the right events, you'll clean up with this, and they'll all be going next year, don't you worry. People are dying to get out to events. Make a bomb on this next year. Here's the 5 anywhere. 14, I can submit it. £14,000, selling it provisionally then. Provisional 14. We're a bit off, but we'll talk and we'll try and do a deal.
Up in the office, a sheepish phone call from the purchaser. Their pet dog inadvertently made the winning internet bid.
That's how it goes, isn't it? But yeah, I should give a size 10 to the dog and... All right, not to worry. Thanks for ringing.
Database.
All right, bye now. It's the dog, everybody. Yeah. She does sound a bit distraught. But anyway, that's life, innit? Apparently the dog jumped on her knee and pressed the button.
You looked out to me off.
I think it was a genuine, I think, you know, but I mean, you don't know, do you? I don't know.
Do you think the dog got excited by the fact that it was a hot dog?
Well, I wondered that, yeah. Maybe he got a scent of some hot dogs in the pipeline.
Or will the dog end up in the
Maybe
hot
it's a
dog
sausage dog. Maybe it could see the end looming.
At the next auction, the hot dog van is back again.
Now, buyer on this one last time defaulted. The Labrador bid on this last time, apparently. Start me on it. Got some interest with me. Where? 10, 11, 12, 12, 13, 13,000, 13, 13, 2, 13, 4, 13, 4, 13, 4. Well, let's hope that's not a Labrador.
The Model A goes for 600 quid less than the Labrador offered. But owner Mick Thompson is prepared to let it off the lead to a new owner in Surrey. With hundreds of vehicles going through the auction every month, there's a constant battle to find room for new arrivals.
Not too many cars, not enough room. Not enough parking space. Not too many cars, definitely not.
The problem is, the motors keep on coming.
I heard a Chinese whisper that there's like 9 coming in, load of motorbikes and a van full of memorabilia.
No, it is a lovely car. No, you're right.
But with sale day approaching, there'll be departures.
Hello, Mathewsons. Oh, you're welcome, no problem at all.
Hopefully heading for the door is one of the stylish Swedes.
The 1973 Volvo P1800. So, here we go. We've got 5,
Well, at the moment it's at 5.5 on the internet.
5,005 down there.
It's at 5,750 now.
5,750.
Now
Someone's
it's
shouting
6.
6. David, thank you.
Hang on,
6 says David. 6,250 says Will on the internet.
6.5.
6,250. Are we there? 6,5 says Jordan. 6,750. Back on. 7, Jordan. 7 says Jordan. At £7,000. 7,250.
Well, it's entirely up to you.
7,250. 7,5. At 7
Oh,
3/4
right then,
Jordan. 7,750 says Jordan.
8,000 on the internet.
8 1/4. 8,250. 8,500 back on the internet with Will at 8,500. 8,750 back with Jordan. Are we all there then at 8,000? No, we're not. It's 9. 9,250 says Jordan.
9,250 is your bid, right?
Fair warning at 9,250.
Oh,
9,500. Tell him not to leave it to the last minute. He nearly missed that there. 9,005. Jordan back in again. 10. At 10,000 on the phone. 10 1/4 says Jordan's man. 10 1/4. 10,250. At 10,250. Are we done? Is that right, Jordan? Look at me. 10,250. Yeah. £10,250. We all done.
There you go, Roy. Congratulations, 10,250. Bear with me one moment. Good man. Congratulations. You got yourself a car.
You are the lucky winner of lot number 298, the Volvo. You know. I'm glad you know. The reason I'm ringing you now is to take a deposit from you.
He was really chilled out, to be fair, to start off with. I know I wouldn't be if I was spending that amount of money on a car. When I told him that he'd won it and that he was the final bid and the hammer had gone down, yeah, he sounded really happy.
The Volvo will soon be shipped out to a new owner in Cheshire. Paul's out on the road. He's on his way to pick up John Coverdale's AC Asika, and he's already had a busy morning.
We've just picked up an RS 1600i Escort, and now I've come for an AC Asika, of which, I'll be absolutely honest, when I heard about it, I had to Google it embarrassingly. Yeah, I'd never heard of one. They only built a handful, so yeah, I'm quite excited about it, really. Pretty, isn't it? A pretty little car. Nice in there. Yeah. No, what a lovely little thing. Here he is. How are you?
OK, do you find your way around?
Yes, no problem at all, yes. Good looking little car, John.
Oh, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Style without being sort of flamboyant or
Not
anything.
too ostentatious.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
I think it would be fair to say most people won't know what it is, will they?
People come up and say, it's an Aston Martin, isn't it? And I say, good heavens, do I look as careworn as that, you know? And they don't know what I'm talking about, they just wander away.
Time for it to move on,
I
Mike?
think so, yes.
Yes.
I keep banging on about this as if I'm proud of it. I'm not proud of being 85, but I am 85, and bits and pieces are just getting to me now.
I know. It's catching up with you a little.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lovely car to drive. It's a kind car. It's on your side, you know, you don't fight it.
No, I know what you mean. Good job. Right. Well, we'll have a loaded up.
Yeah.
It's a big decision to let the car go. Now, there's just a price to negotiate.
What are we doing reserve-wise?
Around the six-figure mark.
Yes.
Yes, I'm quite happy at that. And I hope people have as much fun with it as I've had.
Don't mix up your tea-cut and your polishing cloths.
Derek could write a book about all the tricks of the trade he's learned during the last 50 years.
Now here we've got full Capri, as you can see. This is a 2 litre S, and I just thought it would be interesting just to show people just what can be done with old paintwork. This colour does tend to degenerate quite quickly, goes milky. I used to love buying cars in this condition, deteriorated paint finish and what have you. Lovely, that's exactly what I wanted, because I knew I could bring that car back. In the early days, all we had was tea-cut and elbow grease. In later days, we had power mops, electric mops and such like. Exactly the same system as flattening and polishing a car, simple as that. Well, it's already been flatted, so basically all you've got to do is polish it. We would tea-cut by hand to bring them back, restore the colour. So we're talking about thousands of cars being tea-cut and polished, which will explain why my elbows are worn out. But we reap the benefit because our cars look so gleaming and sparkling when they went in the showroom. And as every dealer will tell you, don't paint it unless you really, really have to. An immaculate resprayed car is fine, but it's not original. It is so important to maintain originality. It is priceless. So it's telling you that it hasn't been messed about with. It hasn't been smashed up. It hasn't had rust dealt with and full of filler and all the rest of it, because it's original.
Just arrived at Pickering, John Coverdale's gleaming AC Asika.
If you said which one do you want to go home in, it'd have to be that, I think. Yeah, just because it's different and quirky and rare, really. I think it's a very elegant-looking old car, really.
A bit like yourself.
Well, some might say. It's a real driver's car. 5-speed gearbox in there, 6-cylinder, triple carbs and all the rest of it. There's a slight exhaust blow there, I heard, when we put it on the trailer. But, you know, good service up and off you trot. Wheels want painting, look. A little bit of paint around the body here and there, if you were bothered. 6 2/3, really, isn't it? If you make it too nice, you're scared to use them, aren't you? I'm assuming it's quite comfy and a good cruiser. We'll see, won't we? I think this is the main reason it's here, if you ask me.
What, you can't get in?
No, and then you can't get out, more importantly. I'm right enthusiastic and looking forward to a quick spin in it. You know, they should be out and used, albeit sparingly. Feels lovely. Feels like there's too much air in the tyres, they feel really hard. But nice gears and things, only just touch fifth, only just for 100 yards, but it feels real long-legged. It feels real nice, yeah.
So for a moment, you were on the Malfi?
Oh, for a moment, I don't know where that is, but for a moment, I was off, yeah. For 2 pins, if you'd have left it full of petrol, I'd have been off down the seaside of Scarborough, maybe, or somewhere. Don't want to risk it too far, do we? You know, we don't know the old girl.
Auction day's looming and it's all getting a bit hectic.
Oh, God, good question. I can't see it being this week, mate, I'm afraid. We're absolutely chock-a-block up here. It's just gone absolutely bonkers. We're going to have to put a second floor in somewhere, I think.
Looking for a new home is John Coverdale's much-loved AC Asika.
That car has caused some serious interest from what would appear to be some serious buyers. And it should do, because you can't go down to Tesco's and buy them. They're out of stock of them, AC. So when you come across one as nice and as genuine looking as that, yeah, I think you've got to get off your backside and do something about getting it bought.
And of course, people are wanting to know more about things, aren't they, over the phone these days?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, yeah, the way the situation is. So consequently, it never stops.
With closed auctions, there's always last-minute questions from prospective buyers.
All right, can you have another quick chat with me, please?
I've dealt with that car from day one, so I probably know more than anybody about it. So fire away. What?
So Paul's suddenly become the expert.
Well, he knows more than anyone else here.
I.e. you.
Well, then most people know more than me. Unless it's coaches.
And yes, I remember coming back, and exactly as you say, I like to just have a quick glance on tick over, and I think they were exactly where you've just said from memory.
Well, it's worth 100,000, isn't it, they tell me. I don't know where it's going to get to, you just don't know, do you? There's not that many people out there looking for ACs, but my advice really is if you're wanting one, you come across a nice one, and it's reasonably priced, not cheap, then I can't see how you can not buy it, because you're not queuing up. So we'll see. Here it is, it's lot number 250, it's a 1956 AC Seeker. It's absolutely gorgeous, we love it very much. I've got some bids with me, start me on it now. 60, 65, 70. 70,000 with me, 72.5, 75. With me, 75, 77,500, 77,500, 77,500. Can I say 80? Beautiful bit of kit, 77.5.
Well, thank you for
we'll
your
chat
time
with
anyway.
the vendor, 77.5.
Bye-bye.
Disappointing money, worth more, 77.5.
The Seeker doesn't reach the six-figure sum owner John Coverdale was hoping for, and he heads back home.
I like that little car. I thought it was a cracker, but to be blunt, I fear it was too expensive. Marvin! So yeah, he was hoping for around about 100, really, wasn't he? This ain't working, this bit.
For the last few weeks, there's been two good-looking Swedish models in the showroom. A 1973 Volvo P1800 ES and a Saab 96L from 1977. Both have a loyal following. And near Pickering, they've been gathering to celebrate one of Scandinavia's most famous exports.
What else came out of Sweden? ABBA,
Brit Eklund,
IKEA.
Meatballs, Swedish meatballs.
What else came out of Sweden? Volvo. Wash my mouth out.
Having ruled out those contenders, that leaves Saab, the manufacturer of fighter jets and unconventional motors.
Lovely. In fact, when you get the engine out, you wonder how the hell it fits in there.
And as you can imagine, devotion amongst these Saab owners runs deep.
I love them. It still smells the same. You've still got that same smell about it somehow, even though we've had it since 1983.
They're very well made, they're well engineered, they're good fun.
I think it's a bit like the guys who own them, really. We're all quite unusual.
Well, I'm Dave Harrott.
Dave Harrott. And Dave, what's your car?
This is half my car. The other half belongs to Alwyn. It's a joint-owned car.
Which half do you own, the front or the back?
Whichever half is working well.
Which half is working well?
Well, all of it at the moment.
I think there's one in America done 3 million miles.
Saab went bankrupt in 2011. The company had produced an illustrious roll call of memorable motors, from the 96s to the 99s, and of course, the 900s. And much of the Saab back catalogue is on display today.
So the oldest one we've got is from 1965, the newest is from 2001-ish, something like that, with lots in between.
Al Philpott is from the Saab Owners Club of Great Britain.
My Saab, yeah, it's a 72, 73 model Saab Sonnet 3. It's got a 1700 Ford V4, same as the 96s used. It was sold into the US, like most of them were, and imported to the UK in 1981. There's only 18 Sonnet 3s in the UK. It's got no more power than yours.
Well, probably
has. It can nearly pull the skin off a bowl of custard.
What's the appeal of the Saab?
For me, it's kind of genetic, I think, because I grew up underneath these things, working on them with my dad when I was a kid. I saw my Sonnet when I was 11 years old, and I said then I wanted to buy that car. It took me nearly 40 years, but I finally got there.
Saab may have ground to a halt, but the loyalty never faded.
Probably the most visually distinctive car around at the time.
They were strongly into ergonomics, so the drive, it's a good word, that, isn't it, ergonomics?
It is a good word. What does it mean?
Well, it's really the less a driver has to think about, and if everything's in reach and falls naturally.
These engines were all painted red. It's got a twin pipe exhaust system. All the upholstery was bespoke. The wooden steering wheel. A lot of the design elements of this were inspired by Alfa Romeo.
The earlier two-strokes were definitely a bit off the wall. When if you went out back in the day and bought one of those in the UK, you were definitely considered to be slightly idiosyncratic, I would suspect.
Impact absorbing bumpers, seat belts, the number of Saab firsts goes on and on and on.
We love it, especially wife, she loves it. I mean, the seats and everything, it's got like crash metal in the doors. And she always says she feels safer in this than anything else. She'd get rid of me before she got rid of this, I'll tell you that one out.
When you compare the used values of the old Saabs now with their peers from the 60s and 70s, I think they're massively undervalued. But the good news is, now that the values are starting to creep up, it means that owners are willing to invest in decent restorations rather than perhaps the quick and dirty stuff we might have seen in the past, because you can see a return on it. So that will save more of these cars.
And of course, the main thing about Saab is that it isn't the other Swedish brand that they don't like to talk about.
I mean, this is the thinking man's Volvo, isn't it?
Right, I think we'll leave that there.
Back at Thornton Dale, they're still selling cars.
Definitely 5-speed. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely 5-speed, Ken, yeah.
Hiya, it's Lucy at Mathewsons.
Next up, the other of the glamorous showroom Swedes, the 1977 Saab 96L.
Everyone in the world seemed to be ringing this week. What's this? What's that? What's the inner wheel arch? What's this? Have a look behind that light. Oh, my days. There's bound to be a little tiny bit of rot somewhere on it, but the car's lovely, just lovely. We had 1 million people, loads of you, just hassling us because they're all rotten and awful, except that one. It isn't, it's not perfect, and it's not a show winner, but it's a lovely car.
But the prospective bidder's enthusiasm isn't rubbing off on all the staff.
Saab 96.
That yellow thing.
Not the best colours, is it?
You look like you're driving a yellow canary, weren't you, really?
A customer phoned up and said, that baby 6 Saab you've got. Custard, I would have said.
You don't like it then?
No.
It's 1977 Saab 96L. One of those cars you buy from 20 feet away. As soon as I walked into the shed, I knew the car was right. Start me on it. Eight I've got, £8,000 I've got. 8,250. 8,500.
Well, thank
9,000, you missed it. 9,350. 9,550. 9,750. £10,000. £10,000 on sale and away and going. 10,1. 10,001.
You're asking for 10,2.
Buying it. 10,2. 10,4. 10,6. Not now. 10,8. You're out, Rob. 10,009. Fill it up. 11.
11-1.
11-1. Fresh blood. 11-2. Rob's phone. All done. 11-4. 11-5. In the hall, was that right, Jack? 11-5 in the hall. It's 11-6, internet's back in. 11-7, Saab 96 L. 11-8, David's bid. 11-9. 11-9, be warned, I'm going to sell it. 11-9 for the 12,000, Rob. 12-1, 12,002. 12-3. Are you sure you're all done? 12-3. Thank you very much for your bidding. Brilliant.
The Saab goes for more than twice its reserve to a new owner in Yorkshire.
There was so much interest in that car.
Somebody's a happy Saab 96 owner.
Well, I hope so. I'm sure they will be when they see it, you know. So I'm glad it sold, and I'm glad it did well, and I'd like another one for next sale.
Saabs have their fans, but for Roy Sabaton, there's only one car that can lay claim to being Swedish royalty. The Volvo P1800 ES.
I saw one of these cars in 1970 and it was £2,250, but about half the price of a semi-detached house.
He's still recovering from the excitement of the auction.
Well, what a fantastic looking car. It was incredibly traumatizing. And since I'd already bought the owner's manual a few days earlier, I more or less had to buy the car to go with it. I've never driven a Volvo P1800. It did seem a bit crazy to actually buy a car that I've not actually seen in the flesh, as it were, never driven, but I simply decided I was going to have it. So I just said to Jordan, just keep bidding, keep bidding. And eventually the car was mine.
Roy's been on the hunt for a red P1800 after spotting one on holiday in Austria. And it reminded him of another classic that he used to have.
If you haven't seen a Bristol 406, it's not unlike this Volvo 1800 ES. Certainly the front of it, and the way the bonnet opens, reminds me tremendously of the Bristol I had over nearly 50 years ago. The car has quite a comprehensive instrument panel. We've got over here a clock, sadly not working, oil pressure gauge which does work, fuel gauge which works, there's a tachometer, and it's got an oil temperature gauge and a water temperature gauge. So rather more than I think you would get in many cars of the era.
A few electrical problems stopped the Volvo from running smoothly, but Roy's worked through them and is now hitting the road.
It does generate some reactions. One guy I drove past simply stood back and beamed. I gave him a good wave. I could see he was appreciating the car. And then on another occasion, I had a conversation at traffic lights. They wanted to know things like engine size and how old it was. And then the lights changed and we moved off in different directions. People do like to see them, yes. I mean, it's not a car that you're going to see on the road every day. In fact, I can't recall the last time I actually saw one. So it's a very unusual car. And there's a certain satisfaction in not having a run-of-the-mill motor car. Gearbox is good. Steering is a little heavy, but I think that's how it was in that era. Certainly I think it's capable of keeping up with traffic. In its day it would do well over 100 miles an hour, so should be capable of cruising at 70 miles an hour, I would think. A car like this has got character, and I can have a good amount of fun just sitting in the garage with it and getting it to run properly. The driving is a kind of secondary. I mean, some people, once they've got their car sorted out, sell them on, you know, but that won't be what's happening with this car. I intend to keep it for a good number of years, probably indefinitely, and hope to carry out a few car tours with it.